Good morning. I hope you've been kind of informed of the rules. That I'm going to try to get as many, if not all of you, an opportunity to ask a question. But last time we tried this, it was just kind of chaotic, people yelling. So I'd ask that you just kind of be patient with me, pay attention to the questions asked, because sometimes you guys want to ask the same question twice, and you're going to get the same answer. So help yourself get what you can out of this. I'm going to give you one question and a follow-up, okay? But before we get there, I do have some comments. First of all, I want to begin by offering our condolences to our partners at the State Department of Public Safety's tragically lost 2 members last night in a helicopter crash up in northern Arizona. So if you would keep them in your prayers, Colonel Gulliver and his team, I'm sure, would have greatly appreciated it. Along the same lines, I think you all saw last night, I'm trying to speak up, not yell, because apparently I talk soft.
If you believe every victim deserves to be remembered and every truth deserves to be told, subscribe to the Crime Narrator. These stories live on because you're here to hear them.
Minutes ago, a new development shook the ongoing investigation into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. Tommaso Cioni, who has publicly been identified as Nancy's son-in-law, released a strong statement pushing back against what he called false and damaging claims tied to comments allegedly coming from the local sheriff's office. Nancy Guthrie, 84, vanished from her Tucson home under suspicious circumstances. Authorities confirmed early on that the case was being treated as a potential kidnapping. Reports of blood evidence and disabled security equipment intensified public concern. As the investigation continued, attention increasingly turned toward people close to Nancy, including family members. Now, Tommaso Cioni says enough is enough. In a written statement delivered through his attorney, Cioni denied any involvement in Nancy's disappearance. He claimed that certain remarks attributed to the sheriff's department created a misleading narrative, one that unfairly implied wrongdoing without formal charges. "I have not been charged with any crime," the statement read. "Speculation and selective leaks are harming my family and undermining due process." Law enforcement officials have not publicly named Cioni as a suspect in any official charging document. However, investigators previously confirmed they were examining all individuals with access to Nancy's home and property. The tension between investigators and family members appears to be escalating, and the public is watching closely. If you're following this developing case, like, share, and subscribe to the Crime Narrator. And comment below where you're watching from as we continue breaking down every confirmed detail. To understand why Tommaso Cioni responded so forcefully, it's important to examine what sparked the controversy. During a recent press briefing, the county sheriff addressed mounting public pressure for answers. While careful not to name specific individuals as suspects, the sheriff stated that evidence suggests this was not a random act.
And then the next day we solve it. Here's one that I go, man, I wish we could solve it in the next 10 minutes. It may be the next 10 days, the next 10 months, or worse.
And confirmed that investigators were focusing on individuals within Nancy's inner circle. Though no names were spoken during the briefing, media outlets and online speculation quickly connected those remarks to Cioni. Reports circulated suggesting investigators had executed search warrants connected to properties linked to him. Authorities confirmed warrants were served, but did not publicly detail the results. Cioni's legal team argues that vague statements paired with visible law enforcement activity fueled a presumption of guilt. Legal analysts note that in high-profile cases, law enforcement must balance transparency with protecting the integrity of an active investigation. Public updates can sometimes lead to unintended consequences, especially when rumors spread faster than official confirmations.
Different questions within the case, starting with, have you been able to clear any of the Guthrie family members?
Well, I put it like this. Everybody, particularly the Guthrie family, but everybody has been very cooperative with us. We've done a number of interviews and investigations and taken DNA swabs from a number of different people. They've all cooperated with us. And we look at what their stories are and we go, okay, the Rio Rico case, perfect example. That young man, we got our search warrant, went search his house, and he talked to us. We thought, okay, makes sense. And we left. But is he clear? Well, no, we don't know that. We don't think there was anything else to get from him at that time. But what if we end up, because all that evidence was taken and submitted for DNA, what if that DNA at that search warrant scene shows that Nancy was there? It's not clear. So the family, I'm going to say this real careful. They are under tremendous pressure and tremendous grief. And I think it's really irresponsible for anyone to start pointing fingers that way. They have been nothing but cooperative with us.
But I think cooperative and cleared are two different things.
I know, but the evidence will take us there.
At this point, no arrest has been made in Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. Officials continue to state that the investigation is ongoing and complex. Cioni's rebuttal signals that this case may now involve not only a criminal investigation, but also a battle over public perception. Investigators previously confirmed several key facts in Nancy Guthrie's case. There were signs of a struggle inside her home, blood evidence was collected for testing, and surveillance systems had been tampered with prior to her disappearance. Authorities have not publicly disclosed whose blood was found or whether forensic testing conclusively links any individual to a crime. That silence has left room for speculation, something Cioni's legal team says is unfair and premature.
But this, according to the New York Post, President Trump saying that those responsible for kidnapping Nancy Guthrie must release her unharmed or they will face the most severe federal penalty.
16 days. Nancy Guthrie.
Sources close to the investigation have described the case as evidence-driven. That means forensic results, digital data, phone records, and property searches are likely central to the case. Search warrants reportedly targeted electronic devices and financial records. However, law enforcement has not announced any conclusive findings. For families involved in investigations like this, the pressure can be overwhelming.
So they are not cleared as of now.
Nobody's cleared.
Nobody's cleared. Okay. I know there's still a lot of investigative efforts going on at Nancy Guthrie's home, at Annie Guthrie's home, and around southern Arizona. My question for Nancy Guthrie's home is, if there are continued investigative efforts, why is there no crime scene tape up?
So I don't know where this started, but let's go back to the beginning. Our team gets a call. We're looking for search and rescue efforts. Shortly around 2 o'clock, I get a call. I said, we need to turn this up. This could be a homicide, could be a kidnapping. And so we go that direction. They work it. I was out there till probably around midnight or 1 o'clock and went home. And when I'm out there, I'm not in the scene. People report that. That's not my role. I'm there to ask, what do you need? What does my team need to get? What resources can we get to accomplish? And we move on. They were out there probably till 7, 8 o'clock that morning. That's a Monday morning. I now start getting calls and I field all the media, but I realize that the national media is getting involved, and it's like I'm there on the phone in front of cameras like this from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. I can't do that all day and still get this job done. And I think we tried to have a press conference the next morning. It was a little chaotic. I'll take that hit. But nevertheless, we held another press conference 2 days later. I think it went a lot better because we knew what you were looking for in terms of evidence and timelines. But that morning, Monday morning, because they're always saying the sheriff didn't get the FBI involved early on. The FBI was involved Monday morning. Within hours of that, we knew that, hey, we have some physical evidence here that needs to go to the lab. But we also knew we had some physical evidence here that the FBI has experts that are better at analyzing that, and we gave it to them. How do we know that? Because we've worked with the FBI for decades. I have department members assigned to that office and have for years. That relationship is critical, not just to the FBI or the Pima County Sheriff's Department, but to this community.
But why not secure the scene now? I mean, as you guys continue on, why not secure it better? I mean, we had a guy deliver pizza up at the front door.
Because we processed the scene. We were done with the scene. The FBI, when you saw them come back, that would be a normal situation. They come in and say, hey, we're looking at this electronic stuff. Can we go see the house? Absolutely. And so they go back. There's no evidence gathered.
Being connected to a missing person case, especially when law enforcement focuses on close contacts, often leads to public suspicion, even in the absence of charges. Cioni maintains that he is cooperating fully. His attorney emphasized that cooperation does not equal culpability. Meanwhile, the sheriff's office has not issued a direct response to Cioni's latest statement. The central question remains, where is Nancy Guthrie? As public interest grows, so does the legal tension surrounding the case. Criminal defense experts say that when a person publicly disputes law enforcement claims, it can signal one of two things: either mounting frustration over reputational damage or strategic positioning ahead of possible legal action. So far, no criminal charges have been filed against Tommaso Cioni. The Sheriff's Department continues to state that the investigation is active and ongoing. Officials have urged the public to avoid speculation and allow detectives to follow the evidence wherever it leads. Behind the scenes, investigators are likely reviewing forensic lab results, surveillance data, and digital footprints. These processes take time. DNA testing alone can take weeks depending on lab backlogs. Publicly challenging law enforcement, as Cioni has done, is a bold move. It suggests he believes the narrative forming around him is inaccurate and harmful. But investigators rarely reveal everything they know during an open case.
Home right now?
I'm sorry?
Are they not collecting new evidence right now? When you say that part's done, they're just taking measurements. Are they not taking any more evidence?
We have to understand what you're speaking of evidence. Are they gathering pieces of evidence off there and taking it in? No. What they're doing is they're doing some analysis of the evidence we gathered to see what can fit. Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, it's no secret to you, there's been a lot of talk about tension between your department and the FBI and the controversial where the DNA is being tested, where the evidence is being tested. Can you just clarify the order
Absolutely.
here? And did the FBI want to test something at their lab, which is typically known to be the pristine lab, and did you say no?
So their lab is a great lab. We've used them before. They've solved cases. Our lab is a good lab too. We've used this lab for 40 years. So it's not like, oh, whose lab is better? They're both very capable labs. What happens is in these kinds of situations, we make a decision. We sit down at the table and talk. Investigators the sheriff doesn't make that decision. Investigators sit down and talk about it. What's the best strategy here? What happens is we had submitted our DNA to a lab for analysis. The FBI took the camera images and did that. When those camera images came back, what happens? FBI shares them with us.
Right.
When our lab reports come back, we share them. We now have a glove we found. Somebody found it. Not at the house. Somebody reported that. It's 2 miles away. But we're not going to disregard that. That'd be silly. So we go gather that glove and we take it. And the FBI said, well, we can send it to our lab. I said, well, why would we do that? We have a lab that has all the markers, right? You have the family members' markers. You have the landscaper, pool people, all those people, and they're at our lab. And we also have other evidence there. We had evidence from the Rio Rico search warrant scene. It's submitted there.
You did tell me last week, though, that your lab was down, and that's why you sent it to Phoenix. Last week, though, you did tell me at one point that the Tucson DNA testing lab was down, and that's why you sent it to Phoenix. Is that back up and running?
I don't recall ever saying the lab was down. I don't know what you're talking about.
You had said that in our interview last week, I believe on Tuesday.
Maybe I was confused with something else. but that DNA lab's never been down.
Maybe
So
it was the
it's
rapid DNA in Tucson? You said that's why you set stuff
okay.
up.
For now, both sides are holding firm. Law enforcement maintaining investigative discretion, and Cioni asserting his innocence. With no arrests and no confirmed suspect, Nancy Guthrie's disappearance remains one of the most closely followed cases in the region. Tommaso Cioni's recent statement adds a new layer of complexity. It transforms the story from a straightforward missing person investigation into a public dispute over fairness, transparency, and due process. If forensic results definitively link a suspect to the scene, law enforcement will act. If evidence clears individuals under scrutiny, that too will eventually become clear. For now, authorities continue to ask for tips and information related to Nancy's whereabouts.
Okay, so
To
yes,
Phoenix.
gotcha. Yes, the rapid DNA test is not a test that you can use in court, but it gets us quickly at a result to say, hey, we might have something here. That was down, so we went to DPS. Yes.
Is it back up and running now in Tucson?
I believe so. Yeah, I don't know. Tucson's deep, so we have a DPS office here in Tucson. TPD has it, but for whatever reason, I didn't get into those details. Their labs said our rapid DNA is down, or whatever that meant. I don't know.
Okay.
We just wanted some rapid DNA done, and so we sent it to DPS.
That makes sense. Important investigative tool to at least have on that end.
I'm sorry. When I think of DNA at labs, I'm thinking our lab, FBI lab, those kinds of crime labs. Understand.
That makes sense. I want to ask you a little bit about the press conferences. So I know PCSD has said multiple times you will hold a press briefing if there is a significant development. We've had this surveillance video come out that was huge. We've had somebody detained and released. So what does your department consider a significant development to address the media?
You know, we discuss all of this, and it is a discussion with our team, the FBI, and talk about it. You know, if you go back to those press conferences, you'll recall who's standing next to me.
The FBI.
Oh, the FBI. They were a part of this. We still are a part of this. Nobody gets to say we're doing this or we're doing that. It is we collectively sit down. The SWAT team used at the home in Rio Rico. Who was that going to be? We talked about it. FBI had that. So ransom notes. Who should handle ransom notes? FBI, you're great at that stuff. Give it to them. But that's the kind of process. I don't think what I've spent.
The most important fact remains unchanged. Nancy Guthrie is still missing. Every statement, every warrant, and every public appearance matters in a case like this. But speculation does not equal proof. We will continue monitoring official updates and verified information as it becomes available. If you want accurate,
I've spent time talking to you about was probably 10 times as long as it talked to the FBI about, hey, let's send this to your lab or my lab. That was just crazy. And that's what got me out here. I know you guys want information, and we want you to have the information. That camera, the video that you see, that individual, people said, oh, we had it for days. We held that for less than 2 hours. We got it and said, we need this out there. And so you get it, you have some work to do to put it together because it's pretty fresh. So we sent it out because we know that's vital. It's generated more leads than anything else we can imagine.
I would imagine. I mean,
Last question.
It was key evidence there. Okay, I'm going to ask you one more thing then. Based on where we are now, that man was detained and then released. You said he's not clear, but he definitely is not still in custody. Are we any closer to having charges for the person who abducted Nancy Guthrie, and are we any closer to finding her?
I think we're closer, yes, absolutely. Every lead counts. That we had, just going back a couple of days, we had 18,000 calls. FBI had 14, 15,000. That's 30-some thousand calls. I have 400 cops, feds, state, local, all over the state, people volunteering. I would be crazy to say, no, I don't want your help. That's what's crazy about this with the FBI.
So should we expect an arrest soon or charges soon?
Well, I would hope so, but I can't say that. What I would tell you is look, all 400 cops out there, everybody's working hard. The community is working hard. We want Nancy home. That's the key. Does it happen in an hour? Does it happen in a day, a week, a month, a year? I don't know, but I know this. We're not going to quit. We're never going to give up.
My very last question on that, just from based on what you said.
Straightforward coverage without rumors, like share and subscribe to the Crime Narrator. And let us know in the comments where you're watching from as we follow this developing story together.